So following on from our demo around transformation, this demo is around the extension of that capability to show you the complexity in which Lattice can handle the required transforms for some business analysts. So here we have a standard data product. This one is from a use case regarding human resources and particularly focused on attrition. And I've got a number of sources of data that have been included in this data product, either from my HRIS system, from engagement surveys, compensation, and items around performance reviews. But there are a number of elements in here within this data, and to make this data product useful, that I need included. That's not available either in the data sources or it's not available in the pipelines that are making those data sources available. So some good examples of those are the grain of the data. So I have data coming from different tables that have different grains. I need to ensure they're the same. There's a number of columns that I need included in the data around certain counts and certain analysis, and particularly things around engagement scores. They are not in the data and they're not in the pipelines, so I need to include those. And that's what Transform was built for. That's what we were asked to do. So if we look at the transform function, before in the last video or in the last demo, we focused on some pretty simple transforms. These transforms we need to perform now are relatively complex, and you would need some very advanced skills either in SQL or Python or Spark or something like that to make this possible. And as we know, Lattice is designed so you don't have to worry about those kind of complexities. So let's just work through those. We're going to build this up. There's roughly around 5 transforms that we need to add to the data product. We're going to build those one on another, on each other to come with a quality data product at the end of that. So for a good example, let's look at the grain first. We'll start there. So we need to ensure that the grain is set at 1 row per employee ID. So that's what we're going to focus on. So we'll run that first. Make sure that the data is set at that level of grain. So I'm looking at the same level of information for each individual table. So that's the first thing we'll do. We'll set that. Now, from an interface point of view, if you care about the technology around the tech side of it, the complexity or the code, you can definitely look at that. You can drop this down. You can see what's getting produced. Most of us don't understand that. We don't really care. At the end of the day, we just want to know we're getting an output. So we've set the grain. That's great. We can preview the data to make sure it's correct. 1 row per employee. And then we can continue to build this up. So the next thing I want to do is I want to create a new column around engagement survey score. So here I have put this in. So I'm going to create a new column called engagement survey count. For each employee, I'm going to set an engagement survey count to the total number of survey records for that employee. So we're going to scan the data, understand that calculation, and build that for me, essentially. So we'll add that transform. Again, this is going to build on the one before. So I've got the original data product. I've addressed the grain of that data product, and now I'm building upon that again. You continue to build these layers accordingly. And remember, again, like we said before, we're not storing any data here. This is a metadata view or a metadata layer into your data. So we're not changing your source data. We're just creating a metadata layer that will present this to you regardless of what technology you're using, whether you're using a BI tool, whether you're using Slack, whether you're going to email Lattice to get information. It doesn't matter. It's not going to store any data. It's just going to provide that data to you on demand. So you'll see the complexity increase as we continue to move through this. We've now got a new column called engagement survey count. So we can preview that. I'll load that data again, and at any point in time you can continue to preview this. Then you can remove the transformation. You can continue to change these. It's flexible as you like. It'll handle anything that you want to do. So then towards the end, you can see it'll add the new column which is called engagement survey count. So I now have that per employee. Great. So I wanted that one. Then I'll move on to my third one, as I wanted to create a column called previous engagement score. So this one's a little bit more complex in that for each employee, I need to find the second most recent survey date and set the previous engagement score to that engagement score, right? So I'm going back in time. I'm looking at, so a bit like a time series analysis, I'm analyzing that data and then making that available so the score is appropriate for that employee. So again, you can see the complexity starting to build. So we'll run that, have that included, and then we'll have the previous engagement score. Now look, you could do this all at once if you wanted to, but we would suggest not to do that. That becomes very complex for you to then try and work out what you did and how to back components out. It's best to break components down and build the data product up into its elements. It also ensures if you're going to push those elements back into a master data management tool or a data governance tool, and you want to apply ABAC rules or FGA or purpose-based controls against those transformations that you've created, that's super important. So again, if you don't break those down, then you don't have that level of granularity around governance. So just bear that in mind as you're building those out. So again, I can work through this. You can see now we're starting to get some pretty serious complexity in what we would normally have to write. Either you're going to write this in SQL, you might write this in Spark, you might write this in Python, whatever flavor you choose to use. But again, it doesn't matter from a Lattice point of view. It's doing that automatically for you. Then we'll continue to build. So I now want another column. This is going to be in regards to the average engagement score over the last 12 months. Which you can see I've called that here. So for each employee, I'm going to calculate the average over score over that period of time. Right? And if there is no surveys for that 12 months for that employee, then we're going to set that to null, essentially. So again, we'll run that, continue to build on that. And then finally, what we'll do, once that one's completed, we'll look at creating a new column called previous performance rating. This is the last one I want to do. So this is using some of the calculations from before. So again, for each employee, I'm going to look at the second most recent review cycle, and I'm going to create some calculations around that, based around that time frame and what occurred over that time frame. So I'm going to build that out, and you'll see the final result of what our data product looks like. So we ended up with 5 new elements. 4 of those are new columns, which you then want to govern accordingly. One of them is really around quality, quality is probably a bit rich, but setting that grain and making sure that the information is at the right point for you. You can see the final result here, absolutely significant in what gets generated. Again, as I said, Lattice has no limit in its complexity. This is a relatively straightforward one today that analysts would be doing on a daily basis. And then we can go and look at that data and preview that accordingly. So I'll rerun that, get those new columns in, make sure that's what we wanted, and we can get to see that result. Again, this is going live against your sources. As I mentioned, it's not storing any data, it's loading this data automatically, so you can see the result. So here we can see we've got the engagement survey count, we've got the previous engagement score, we've got the average engagement over a 12-month period, and we've got our previous performance rating. So an amazing result. That in total, if I needed to have that completed by my data team or my data engineering team, I could be looking at 6 months, 8 months, who knows, before I had that information. But I needed that now. I could build a data quality product now and share it with others and use that with any tool of my choice. Enjoy.